The estate agent was a full-blown alcoholic. He would park his car at the back of the pub, down a pint, get into the car, and then go to an appointment to put the house on the market.
Oh my God, it's your work experience.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's a common perception when you start a estate agency, the glamorous job to have.
Work in real estate, oh my God.
What they don't see is the fact that you've been into a repossession at 9 a.m. that's flea-ridden, so you're now stood at the back door by 12 o'clock, stripping off to absolutely nothing to put your clothes into a bin bag.
Co-founder of the UK Homes Network. You create a platform that brings together developers, investors.
Property networking platform, a viable alternative to LinkedIn.
Challenge here is so huge. Probability is massively against you.
Let's find out how we can advertise on Tinder. It's not who can race to the quickest amount of revenue, it's who can last the longest on the marathon. So they're not prepared to put themselves through hell.
This episode is sponsored by Merry Oaks Property Finance Brokerage. Merry Oaks is a finance brokerage for investors, developers, landlords, SMEs across the country, helping you with all of your finance needs. So whether it's bridging, development, commercial, buy-to-lets, HMOs, service accommodation, industrial, hotels, the whole 9 yards, whether it's for your portfolio, whether it's for your business, we can support you. Please contact us. We've got the link in the show notes, and we look forward to hearing from you. Now, back to the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Property People. I am very pleased today to be joined by Mr. Chris Tremlett. How are you today, Chris?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming all the way from sunny Coventry.
Yeah.
2.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Down to Fleet in Hampshire, where we've got the studio. And Coventry is a place that's close to my heart because I own a bunch of properties there.
Oh, nice.
So I spent a lot of time there. My brother went to university there as well. This was back in the 90s, but still, it's very, and I still frequent it all these years later. But let's get into a little bit of property stuff.
Sure.
And firstly, a quick introduction. You're a connector, a strategist, and a champion of collaboration in the UK property market. You've done a very, very great job in being the co-founder of the UK Homes Network. You create a platform that brings together developers, investors, all sorts of property professionals to share knowledge, build partnerships, unlock opportunities, and it's all across the housing sector. And is commercial thrown in there as well?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of crossover at the minute with Class MA, but typically my background is residential, so we've purely targeted residential.
So yeah, very good. Well, we're going to dive into all of that, and welcome to Property People. But before we go into all of that, I always like to start with getting to find out a little bit more about you, and in particular, who was Chris at school? Were you enthusiastic about school? Did you always go with an apple for the teacher, or did you try to skive as much as possible?
I was a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest.
Is it? Rascal?
Yeah, it was. The school report was always bright, but didn't apply himself. Only the language a teacher can use. I didn't enjoy primary school very much. I was a bit of an outsider, wasn't very sort of into all the social groups and all that sort of stuff. And then when I got into to high school, I really found that I started to find who I was, how I interacted socially. That's when I actually started to pick up some of the subjects that I really liked. High school was a lot better, and I'm still friends with some of the people that I was in school back then. But I'd say typically during my education, if the subject was something that I was into, I'd 100% throw myself into it. If it was one that I wasn't that particularly interested in, then it kind of fell by the wayside. Yeah,
fair enough. And favourite subjects at school?
History, science, RE, and probably geography.
RE, are you religious?
No, I was growing up.
Right.
But yeah, kind of, it's taken a bit of a back seat really. I think I'm probably more agnostic now than Roman Catholic as I was being brought up.
Not many people I ask really enjoyed RE. It wasn't one of my favorite subjects, but I did enjoy history. I thought I had a really good teacher that always used to kind of like animate pretty much what was going on. And we used to watch these videos and there was one time we were doing the tutor period at the start, and he'd literally jump on the desk and then like take a dustbin full of paper and throw it on the floor and go, England was a mess.
Yeah.
And it was quite theatrical. So that was all good. When you did you do your A-levels?
No. So I basically came out of high school, got my GCSEs, and went in to do A-levels. So did politics, law, and business. And immediately found that it wasn't for me. Really didn't like sort of further education. I was much more wanting to just get stuck in and actually go out into the world of work. So I left that college, went to another college to do a different course, but in business. And then I'll be totally honest with you, found drink, drugs and girls, and
more interesting.
Yeah, more interesting. And probably didn't turn up for 9 months out of the 12 months.
Right.
Came back towards the end and then just blitzed all the coursework and managed to just scrape getting a qualification. But I was way more like I was desperate just to go out into the world of work and see how it was.
And so when you're going out into the world of work, what year was this?
Oh God. It would have been 2009.
So just after the crash.
Yes.
The big bad crash where it was a little bit doom and gloom everywhere. Not as much money floating around the economy. That was the year that I actually decided to take a little bit of time off, go traveling for a year through 2010. What sort of jobs, when you decided that you wanted to kind of, or you needed to get some work, I guess, were you doing? Like, I remember when I was a kid, I would do car washes. I'd like, for £5 here and there. What sort of jobs were you doing, or what were available to? What sort of things were you getting offered?
Yeah, I mean, right from high school, like I'd literally lied about my age while I was at high school to get a job pot washing in the pub across the road.
Oh, right.
So they thought I was 15, I was 14. But my first proper full-time job was working in a surveyor's office.
Interesting.
And I was an office junior. And basically I was doing a lot of admin, but primarily I was putting the ring binders together for the home reports. And I was absolutely useless.
Oh,
like so bad that I lasted 2.5 weeks in the job.
Okay.
They were like, Chris, I'm not sure this is for you. And that's where I started to develop an aversion to admin.
Yeah. Not my favorite thing either, to be fair.
No, but yeah, I was in the surveyor's office for 2.5 weeks, and then a job propped up for selling security systems for an alarm company.
Okay, a bit more exciting maybe?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, I found that because I was quite an extrovert, that sales kind of lent itself to me.
Yeah.
I was young and naive and just a little bit bolshy. So I was able to sort of, communicate over the phone and do all the telesales stuff as if I was sort of Wolf of Wall Street before it was actually a thing. But little did I know I wasn't actually as good as I cracked up to be. But it certainly gave me a few lessons on sales, I'll tell you that.
And was it a big team there? Did you have like other salespeople around you that you could hear listening to their calls?
Yeah, there was about 50 of us in one office.
Wow.
So this was just in Coventry. We were on
a lot of crime in Coventry then.
Yeah, 100%. It was... so there was one office that we basically were the telesales office for the whole of the South East and the West Midlands. And then there was another office in Solihull, and that was for the North and North of the Midlands. So, yeah.
So did you like it? Because I used to be in some of these sales rooms where it's like telesales, and did you have a headband or was it just picking up the phone?
Yeah, it was like smile while you dial, stand up behind your desk, power up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen The Call Centre on BBC Three. It was a documentary that came out years ago. If you ever get a chance, rewatch it on YouTube.
I will.
That was exactly like our sales office. The guy who did it, who did that documentary, he was a millionaire within his own right. And he starts the documentary by coming in singing Mr. Brightside by the Killers and getting everyone singing and dancing. Yeah, I've been in a few offices where that exact same thing has happened, and it's cringe.
It is cringe. It is crazy. But you know what? I used to see people thrive in it. I used to see like there was some team leaders that used to really be good at it, and they used to talk to the clients about which horses they're going to be betting on, and then like, by the end of the call, so you're going to put the 25 grand deposit down on this apartment or whatever. Yeah, cool. Yeah. And then they buy basically.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting environment, I think, to be in. Have you seen those other films like Boiler Room? Or Glenn Ross? These are all kind of like before Wolf of Wall Street. These are other kind of sales type films where they kind of depict what goes on in these types of places. Slightly different, those two films that I mentioned, but it's all part of the same environment that these things talk about. So being in that environment, it is cringe. I didn't last very long in these places, but I did learn a lot about being in a sales environment, about how to present things correctly, how to be knowledgeable, how to be likable, how to build rapport. Jordan Belfort talks about the straight line of every sale. Have you come across that concept?
I love that concept.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I use it in my thing because it is true as well. So it does work. So basically, you did that for a little while. Did you sell loads of security appliances and systems?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a good product actually. And they'd basically won a contract with Honeywell to actually produce it, and they were doing they were the first to sort of done heat sensing sensors, which would basically determine the body heat coming off a moving object to work out whether it was your pet or you or whatever it was, so it wouldn't just set the alarm off. So it was quite a cool product, but it had a shelf life, and I think the way that the business approached sales wasn't very good. The directors were sort of unscrupulous characters, and the business folded after sort of me 2 years being there. So yeah,
I always think about these types of sales environment. These like the people that run them are always seem to have this kind of unscrupulous. I think it comes from the films and stuff, and maybe with some of my experiences. But like I said, everything teaches you something to get to where you are, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like to go on these journeys. So from there, where did you go from there?
So the business folded, and I was kind of like looking for a job. And I'd already done a bit of work experience for the local estate agent. And this is mental, right? So the estate agent was a full-blown alcoholic, and his wife was.
It's not the first time I've heard that kind of story. It might be the same guy.
Yeah. And he was literally drinking from 6 o'clock in the morning right through, and he was a very unwell character. Sadly, the chap is no longer with us now, but he would basically take me out on appointments while I was on work experience, and he would park his car at the back of the pub, and he would walk through the pub with me, down a pint, get into the car, and then go to an appointment.
Oh my God.
To put the house on the market.
That's your work experience.
Yeah, it was crazy. And meanwhile, his wife is sat out the back watching Coach Trip, downing bottles of wine. So I was sat in the office basically as the first point of contact for any customers coming in, because she was incoherent and he was just reeking of booze.
Oh my God.
It started to sort of drip feed what was happening in terms of like property. Anyway, that was earlier on, and I was looking for a job post the security alarm systems, and my dad handed me a newspaper, and he tapped it and went, "There you go." And I went, "What?" And he went, "There's a job for you." And it was a sales negotiator for the local estate agents. Now, I didn't know at the time it was actually the same estate agents that I'd done work experience for, but they'd bought out the couple that were drinking.
So it was same agent, different people.
Yeah. And my dad then confessed to me that he'd actually been an estate agent during the 80s, and that he absolutely loved the job. So he told
a subtle confession. I don't want to tell you this, but I really loved it. I was in the stage like one of these.
Yeah.
But I used to be in a stage. I absolutely loved the thing.
Yeah.
I was talking to Todd about it earlier today. and how online estate agents are really taking a beating because a really good estate agent is worth their weight. It is undervalued in the grand scheme of things. So you managed to get this. So you managed to get hold of them and get a job with them? This episode is sponsored by Merry Oaks Property Finance Brokerage. Merry Oaks is a finance brokerage for investors, developers, landlords, SMEs across the country, helping you with all of your finance needs. So whether it's bridging, development, commercial, buy-to-lets, HMOs, service accommodation, industrial, hotels, the whole 9 yards, whether it's for your portfolio, whether it's for your business, we can support you. Please contact us. We've got the link in the show notes, and we look forward to hearing from you. Now, back to the episode.
Yeah, so I basically phoned them up after emailing them my CV, and I did my old sort of security alarm system sales tactic.
Yeah.
And I basically phoned them up and I said, right, I've just sent you my CV. I just want to know how to make sure it's on top of your pile. And he went, oh, hello.
Hello.
He said, are you free on Monday for an interview? So I went in and, got on really well with the guy that owned it. Then the branch manager sort of built rapport with him, had a sort of a weird interview where we were actually just having a chat, having a laugh. And they offered me a job. And I was in the office for about 2 days before. So it was me and a branch manager. That's all that was in the office. And the branch manager got a phone call at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday and basically said, my wife's gone into labour. I'm going on paternity leave. Here's the keys for the office. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, right, crap. So this was a local independent. They had 3 other branches, and I was there for about 4 hours answering phones, dealing with stuff that I had absolutely no knowledge. They literally dropped me in the deep end. Before the managing director, the guy who owned the estate agency, eventually came over and went, oh, you're doing all right then? And I went, yeah, but I don't know what I'm talking about. And then I shadowed the guy who owned the business for the next 2 weeks before before the branch manager came back. And it was a baptism by fire, but I absolutely loved it.
So the sales and lettings?
Yes.
I mean, just going back to how you got the job and how you made yourself stand out a little bit. I think that's such a good lesson for a lot of people that they say, oh, there's no jobs out there, or I've applied for so many and I just can't get anywhere with it. Yeah. Can't get any interviews. I just think that there is a way to do that. Like if you kind of whittle it down to the places that you want to go, and then you find out who those people are, and then you actually literally make an effort to call them, and then say something that actually, like you said, just absolutely grabs their attention. I think it does work in general. I remember there was one particular estate agency that I ended up working with in North London, and I called them, I emailed them, I faxed them. I had a fax machine back then, and a number of times I was like, I'm not stopping until you at least see me. I just I just want to come down. And then went and had a really good interview. It went really well overall, but I was still a bit nervous, so I literally called them on the way home. And said, I really think that went well. I'd really like to work with you. I've just been thinking about it. Anyway, they called me back about half an hour later and said, yeah, you got the job, fine. And I think that level of enthusiasm genuinely gets the job done. So from there, you've the MD comes back and sales, lettings, property management. Did they have a lettings book?
Yeah, so they were one of the biggest letting agents for the area. So the town was Nuneaton. If you know it, it's even worse than Coventry. But yeah, they had about 1,000 properties on their books.
Unbelievable, that's brilliant.
Which was the most out of any of the other agents in the town. But fortunately, they had a separate lettings branch, because if you've ever worked in lettings, you know that it's an absolute war zone.
I was going to say, no wonder the guy was an alcoholic. He's probably
yeah. Well, it was. I mean, we worked quite closely with the guys on lettings, but I took my hat off to them, because the crap that they would go through every single day,
especially if you're in an area which is low income and and can be problematic. To get those rents in and the maintenance and all the other drama that can come with it, it can be quite intense, to be honest. Like you said, war zone's probably a good way of describing it. Yeah,
well, tenants are they're the most creative people that I've ever come across, because they some of the stuff they come out with, and some of the reasons for phoning you is just.
Have you got any off the top of your head that kind of stand out to to you that you think like, bloody hell, that was, hope I never get that call again?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think if you've got any landlords listening to this, which I know you will, they it's the 3 a.m. phone calls for a light bulb changing, or you know how to turn on the boiler, and you're like, why are you turning on the boiler?
Yeah.
And they're going, because I turn it off at night, and you're going, why are you turning it off? Like,
save electricity.
I don't know if you've heard of this little thing called carbon monoxide, but yeah, it's quite dangerous. So leave the boiler alone. But yeah, I mean, we've had you know, people coming in trying to basically throw tables, chairs, and the reason is because they were 6 months late on their rent. Like, it's just mental.
Yeah.
Or the one that always used to make me laugh is that at least around sort of January, February time, you get an absolute gale force wind come through the town, and all the fence panels go down. And for a small number of tenants, they think that that's a life and death situation. And they can't understand why it's taking you 3 weeks to get a fencing contractor out to come and just quote for the work, because they don't see the fact that you've got to phone the landlord to get that permission to get the fencing contractor out there. Then they've got to sign off the work and pay for it.
And it's not non-urgent. It's not life and death either.
No. And the fencing contractor, you can guarantee that they've had 100 calls before the letting agents have had the call to come out and do their fences. So yeah, that's just one that always springs to mind. I always have a little chuckle to myself when I see it's quite stormy.
There's not
outside.
that many street fences on it. Like, there's not one on each corner like a Pret a Manger or anything. So it's probably probably quite busy. So you know that makes sense. So whilst you're doing all this, you know, some people think that because estate agents drive fast cars and flashy, you know, have shiny shoes and everything, that they make an absolute fortune. What was your progression from doing that, and why did you not stay in it? And kind of how does that bring you up to doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, well, that's a common perception by friends and family when you start a estate agency, that you're in the money and that, you know, it's quite a big, glamorous job to have.
You work in real estate. Oh my God.
Yeah. What they don't see is the fact that you've been into a repossession at 9 a.m. that's flea ridden. So you're now stood at the back door by 12 o'clock, stripping off to absolutely nothing to put your clothes into a bin bag to put it on the hottest wash that you possibly can, because you don't want to bring fleas into the house. But yeah, for me, I'd progressed quite quickly in my estate agency career. And after 12 months, I was promoted to valuer. So I was going out and putting properties on the market. Absolutely loved it. But there was a common theme right through that part of my career, is that, and I know you mentioned this on the podcast with Kim, about estate agents being like the second worst hated profession. And literally you feel that when you go into someone's living room, because they've immediately got their back up against the wall. They really, really don't like estate agents, and it takes a long time to build that trust that you are an authentic person, that you are real, and that, you know, you are trying to do a good job for them. Yeah,
you've got their best interest at heart, and you are going to do a good job as well.
Yeah. And I've told this story quite a lot, but it's the fact that when I went into a house that the guy started going around the house pointing out all the skirting boards that he'd painted. When his back was turned, I started rolling my eyes, because I know the moment they start talking about the skirting boards, their valuation, what they expect the valuation to be of their property, is wildly unrealistic. And to be honest, it doesn't suit me, because I worked for a local independent. If you've never worked in an estate agency or never come across estate agents before, there's two types of estate agents. There's the corporate, and then there's the independent.
Yeah.
You know, the local guys on the high street. The local independents, typically their contract length is 12 to 16 weeks. So a fair amount of time in order for your property to be on the market with them. However, the corporates start from 24 weeks of how long your property needs to be on the market with them, exclusivity. And what they do is they overvalue the property. I'm not saying all estate agents, I'm just saying some of them. know the contract length is a lot longer. So what they'll do is they'll overvalue the property to get it on the market to appeal to your financial nature. And then over that course of those 24 weeks, they'll drop it down.
They'll chip you on the price, on the asking price, until you get it to the right level.
Yeah, which works really well for them.
And you're desperate by then, like 3-4 months down the line, like, I need to sell this thing.
Yeah. Whereas the local independent, they don't necessarily have the cash reserves to be able to facilitate a property on the market for 6 months, let alone 9 months. So I would go into the property with, I will give a realistic valuation of what I know I can sell this house for within 6 to 8 weeks maximum. And the amount of people that didn't, I've had, such and such out, and they've told me it's 50 grand more. And you're just like, yeah, the reason that they're telling you this is because, they're going to get you to price reduce. And the amount of customers that I get coming back to me going, you were the only ones that told us that they would do this, and you were the only one that gave us a realistic valuation. So now we'd like to list it with you.
It pays to be authentic and a bit honest and a bit transparent with it.
Yeah,
knowledgeable.
You set their expectations, and then you build their a sort of a long-term sustainable business from actually just being honest with people. And it might not be what they want to hear. But so back to the guy who was talking about his skirting boards. I knew exactly what was going to come out of this conversation. And he immediately started talking about how much time it took him to paint the skirting boards and just sort of minor cosmetic improvements to the house. And he basically said that he wanted 100 grand over the market value for the house. And I was like, I'm sorry, here's the comparables. Next door has literally sold within the last 6 months, and it's in a way better condition. Like, you are not going to get this for your house. And the guy got visibly angry and then started to shout at me and tell me that I didn't know nothing and all this sort of stuff. I mean, at the age, I was probably about 24 at the time, clean shaven. So I didn't necessarily look as aged as I do now. And he was like, well, what would you know about property? All this sort of stuff.
You're only a spring chicken. I used to suffer from ageism a lot. I used to always think, because it was just like, these are the largest assets that people are dealing with. Yeah. And, why are they going to trust me? And I don't have that much life experience. And I used to, that was probably one of my biggest insecurities as well. I had a little bit of a younger looking face. You do in your early 20s anyway. Yeah. I feel you on that one.
We basically started the beard trend. That was it, because estate agents that looked a bit young grew beards just to look a little bit older.
I tried, I couldn't do it at the time.
Yeah. Bum fluff everywhere. So basically decided that I was going to leave that estate agency. I'd had enough following that experience. That and the next valuation that I went out to, a guy basically was walking around a house going through divorce, and the cat had thrown up in the bathroom, and he had carpet in the bathroom. Ouch. Which is a big no-no. And so that I didn't see the cat sick, he stood in it and then proceeded to walk it through the house, and I'm like literally trying not to be sick behind him. So that was those two valuations back to back. I was like, I think I've had enough.
This is the fleas, the cat shit on the floor, and the getting shouted at.
Yeah,
probably enough's enough.
It was a busy day. And I to be honest, I'd been doing social media for the branch at that time anyway. So I'd been doing Facebook and trying to generate some.
And what year is this?
This would be 2012, 2013.
So still relatively early days for Facebook. I think I went on Facebook, I think it was 2007, 2008, and it was still it was getting busier, but it was still relatively early days.
Yeah, don't quote me on that year. It's all merged into one. But it was about that time. And we got to the point where, as a branch, we were actually generating 12 new properties to the month, 12 new properties to the market every month as a direct result of what we were doing on social media. And I left that estate agency and ended up working for Purple Bricks.
Wow.
And that was a whole eye-opening experience, because you can say what you like about Purple Bricks, and I'm sure everyone's got an opinion on them, love them or hate them. But they were very, very good at understanding something that a lot of estate agents miss, which is that you are a marketing agent. You 100%. Are not an estate agent.
But they take a marketing fee up front, which was always my gripe. It's like, we were no sale, no fee.
Yeah.
They take a marketing fee up front, and if they sell it, great. If they don't,
yeah.
not their problem.
Which is great for cash flow, but it really doesn't keep that longevity of customer service going forward. But they had started to really delve into what was going to make sure that these properties would sell, so we don't necessarily need to concentrate on, constantly phoning up them for price reductions and all the rest of it. And they'd got hold of Rightmove figures that basically said that between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m, 75% of all the traffic happens on Rightmove.
Right.
And when they started saying that, I started using that figure when I was going out to the living room, you immediately command confidence in your potential vendor, because you are now talking about marketing for their property, and that's what they're looking for.
Probability and statistics, and they might say, wow, this guy's switched on, he knows what he's doing.
Exactly. And it was that understanding of how psychology works with the transaction and what it is that brings people to buy property that just set me off. I was like, right, I think I found something here. And I realized that it wasn't necessarily the estate agency, it was the marketing side of it.
Right.
So I left Purple Bricks, had a gap year, and traveled Europe for 12 months, came back and decided that marketing was where I wanted to be. But I didn't want to lose all that knowledge that I'd built up with property, because I took a lot of pride in it. I thought, do you know what, this is a vocation, this is a craft, this is a skill, understanding all these different elements of a property. And, even to this day, I still get people reaching out to me going, Chris, can I have advice on this, or, this, that, and the other. And I got a job working for a property finance broker based in Leicester.
We love finance brokers,
and that was a baptism by fire, because they'd never done anything marketing wise at all, and I'd never done anything.
So how were they generating their leads prior?
So a lot of it was word of mouth, a lot of it was telesales, direct calls, and they had a very basic website presence. They had social media profiles, but they'd never done anything with it.
Right.
And they understood that they needed to do more. So I ended up working for them, and I'll be honest, it wasn't one of the best companies I've ever worked for. And I would sit every single day in a meeting with my boss, and he would give me a 25-point plan of what he would want me to do that day. And half of the stuff, was just unbelievable. So he came up with this idea that basically he'd seen a Danish politician going for election, and he used Tinder to advertise to win votes. And he said, let's do that with property finance. Let's find out how we can advertise on Tinder and see if we can get some leads matches through Tinder. And I was like, right. So you have to kind of go through the thought process here. And I'm like, who do you think the demographics are on Tinder? And he's like, I don't know, but it's mass market, it's great. And I'm like,
oh right, everybody's on there.
yeah. And the more you sort of strip back, so that role actually,
I was starting to think there's some sort of genius that's going to come from there.
No, it weren't, and it was just constant.
I'm like, well, hold on, this is going to be the best thing that's ever come out of property people.
I was the first line of defense against his ADHD. So he would just pluck ideas out the ceiling,
right,
fire them at me, and then I'd have to go through like a logical process to work out. So when I said that there's a 25-point plan per day to go through, that was nearly every idea that he'd come up with that we had to sit and address. So while trying to build a brand of a business that didn't really exist, I'm also fighting fires with this guy to try and
you've got 1,000 ideas. Good, terrible.
Yeah. And some of them were really good, fair play. But it was just a case of for my first marketing role. And I think a lot of people, if they've ever, been in their first ever marketing role, they'll know that they are a jack of all trades, master of nothing, and they're basically trying to learn on the job as quickly as possible. So it was incredible for that, because I learned so much in a short space of time. But then 12 months into it, I got headhunted by McCarthy and Stone.
Nice.
So they had a regional office in Coventry.
Just for anybody that doesn't know, McCarthy and Stone are
the biggest retirement living developer in the country.
Yeah.
So they're based out of Bournemouth, but they cover the whole of the UK, and they create quite high-end developments.
Yeah, they're big fish. They're good stuff.
Yeah, so they're targeted from the age of 65 plus, but their average age is probably about 82, or it was when I was working there. Yeah. So I ended up working for McCarthy and Stone.
It's good that you know their demographic.
Yeah. Well, it was burnt into me. And it was really interesting, because their first ever interview is like, we want you to come in and we want you to do a presentation, and we want you to create us a marketing plan. And I was like, right, I know what I'm going to do here, because I've just had a difficult boss that is really difficult to try and communicate with and get him to understand sort of various elements of marketing. So I'm really going to do the research, understand the brand, understand what they're doing. And I went in with a whole sort of dossier on digital marketing and how they were not currently using social media to align with their potential customer. And they went, yeah, this presentation, one of the best of the day, well done. But we just want to let you know, digital marketing is not really a focus for us, specifically social media. And I said, okay, why not? And they went, it's just not what we do here. Our core market read newspapers, so we spend a lot of money on newspapers. And in the presentation, I actually had a statistic that if you were over the age of 70 to 80, there was a 49% chance that you were on social media. And that was a huge market that they were sort of alienating. I don't know whether it's changed.
And a fraction of the cost to go onto the social media versus going in newspapers.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at a full page for your local rag, it's, you know, you're talking £1,000 upwards, whereas you could spend that on a month to 2 months worth of Facebook meta ads and get a whole different outcome.
I mean, maybe back then, maybe, you know, I can maybe see where they're coming from. But today, you know, the amount of parents that I see that are kind of going into that age, and obviously they're grandparents now because they've got their children had children, and they're constantly on YouTube, or they're constantly on Instagram, or they're constantly on Facebook, and they're liking each other, and they've got their own little community. Yeah. They're not that mobile. Nobody's watching TV anymore so much. Maybe, you know, a few things on Netflix, barely know how to work the TV, but they're all on their phone and they're all flicking up and down, looking at videos and stuff. So I would say absolutely, there's they're mostly on it, if anything.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know whether that's changed. But certainly with McCarthy and Stone, although our sort of alignment on marketing was different, it was an incredibly good company to work for. They gave everyone company cars. You
had a company car being a marketing guy?
Exactly, yeah.
Nice.
I actually had to do site visits. So the difference with McCarthy and Stone is that when they decide that they want to acquire a plot of land, they actually bring the marketing and every single person out to that plot of land to discuss what they're going to do.
That's how it should be done, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great idea.
So that they can identify where the hoardings are going to go. They can actually see what's around the area in terms of signage, if there's any sort of key sort of amenities within the area that's going to help sell the development, which is great because you actually get to understand the process from the developer's side of what's going on. So it was an incredible business to work for, and particularly working for a business of that size so early on into my marketing career was fascinating to understand how both sides of the coin do it. So absolutely loved that. And then COVID hit.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So
the party's over, the music stops.
Well, I wouldn't say the party was over. I was on furlough, and that was the biggest party of my life.
That was actually even more party.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember that summer.
That's when the party started.
Yeah, it was for 6 weeks. It was consistently 30 degrees outside, and it was just me just consuming podcasts, drinking beers, and just living the dream. Yeah, but
Play.
the McCarthy and Stone were really good as an organisation because although there was the Good Sam organisation, which was the app that would alert you if someone needed help in the local area during COVID,
Right.
they'd also set up their own system where even people that had just registered their interest in a McCarthy and Stone could raise awareness with McCarthy and Stone that they were in need of help.
Oh, right.
So there was a number of occasions where I actually went out and delivered prescriptions or, went to the shop and got something for someone. And we were given the option as McCarthy and Stone employees whether we wanted to do that. So I was able to get out on the road and actually, go and drop supplies off for people, that kind of thing. So
essential work, I think they called it, where you had to go, that's fair play to you, man. And the roads were quite free then as well.
100%.
It was a sunny year as well.
It was brilliant. Windows down, music blaring, living the dream. But of course, like many other businesses, there was a huge round of redundancies, and that was sort of into the first lockdown. So we basically didn't know what was going to happen. So they essentially said to us that we'll keep you on furlough, but it looks like you're going to be made redundant. We'll enter you into consultation process. And then furlough ended, consultation out the door. And I was kind of in a situation where I was like, right, what do I do now? And there were no marketing jobs available.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I ended up working for a removals company. So I was on the back of vans, basically moving people's furniture who were moving house, because you could still move house then. And then did that for a while, and then basically got into PropTech, where I ended up working for some quite well-known businesses. You might have heard of Nimbus Maps.
Of course, I'm an ambassador for them.
Oh, are you? Fantastic.
Yeah. So they're really good. I still use the tool today.
Yeah, it's a brilliant platform. So was at Nimbus for a year, and then the market leader at the time, not anymore, Landing Site came calling, and I ended up working for them, which is where I got the job, got the idea for UK Homes Network.
Yeah, I know Landtech as well. They're good go. And I mean that market. There's also Searchland, which is doing very well these days. And you've also got, there's the one Sprift and Property Data. There's quite a lot. There's Realize. There's but I think they've all got a market. They've all got kind of their own position in the market. And for what I do, Nimbus was great as well still. So so you work for these PropTech companies, doing their marketing?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So when I started Nimbus, that was when Class MA came out.
Right.
The change of Class E. So if there was a webinar or a blog around Class MA, it had my name all over it.
Right. I see.
Yeah. So that was my niche. I quite enjoyed that one. But was with Nimbus, and they were really just starting to hit the ground running and looking to expand, and it was quite an exciting time to be at. And then Landing Site came calling, and that's what happened. So
and then from there, you how did the Homes Network get started? Where did that idea come from, and why? Because that's going from being employed, which is the safety net that understandably most people know, like, trust, appreciate, want, versus, right, I'm going to burn everything and I'm going to start this thing from scratch. Who knows whether it's going to work or not? I might be going back to a job in 12 months, 24 months. It's more probable that I will be doing that, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. Take us on that journey. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really, really appreciate the support, and it helps me, gives me the motivation to get bigger and better guests on, all for you. I also wanted to let you know that I do have another YouTube channel. It's called Sam Lowney. It's just my name, and it's all about everything that I've learned in property and business over the last 20 years. It has site visits from our Mario's clients, so you can go behind the scenes and see how they're getting on with their projects and the trials and tribulations, the successes that they've had, as well as some tips on my thoughts about the market, about the game of Monopoly, and a whole bunch of other things that bounce around in my head. We have the Monday morning musing, which I do send out on an email as well. But please do check out the YouTube channel at Sam Lowney. We'll have the link in the show notes because that's slightly different stuff. And I'm sure you'll enjoy that too. Otherwise, back to the episode.
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying I was more deluded than that. I thought it was going to change the world on day one, and had quite a rude awakening after 24 hours. But yeah, so I got approached by Land Insight to come and work for them, and because they were a direct competitor of Nimbus, they couldn't tell me what I was going to be doing. So I was a bit like, interesting. They're offering me a lot of money to come and work for them, and they looked like a really good company to work for. I really liked their branding, what they were doing out in the market. So I had 8 interviews in total.
For
Land Insight.
Wow.
Yeah. Because initially they brought me in for a standard marketing role, and then they realised that there was a project that they wanted to do where they thought I'd be a good fit for it.
Which was?
Well, they didn't tell me at the time, so it was kind of a leap of faith. They were like, we can't tell you because you still work for a competitor, but we really think you'd be good at this. The salary banding is higher than the original job that we've invited you in for. I'm like, talk to me. So, yeah, I didn't actually find out until day one. And basically what they'd done is they created a community platform for their customers. They're essentially the highest subscription customers, so the ones that were paying the most. And it was basically a way that they could network. So they could communicate the product to them. So if there was any updates to Land Insight, new products, new features, but ultimately they could use it as a bit like a social media platform and start networking.
Got it.
And we grew it from standing start 0 to 2,500 members within sort of a 12-month period. And it was quite exciting, but it always felt like a bit of an upsell because it was an upsell to their existing ecosystem.
So you'd have to basically pay for the most expensive package to get onto this.
Yeah.
But 2,500 people is a pretty good.
100%, yeah. And we were really starting to make hay with it. But during my time there, it was clear that wasn't the main priority of their product, nor should it be. But there was a lot of untapped potential with it that they were not able to explore. And the main reason is because Nimbus, Searchland, Landstack, there's many other sort of different platforms. It was such a competitive market that if they were to open it up and start growing it, it was terrifying that those could come in and see a full list of their customers using this platform.
Right.
So basically what happened is that me and a number of my colleagues all got made redundant about 3 weeks before Christmas.
So the success of it almost like that, okay, actually, you know what, we've decided that this is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, and it was quite disappointing because I'd put a lot of work into it. We'd even launched a series of live events, and there was you could see the early signs of engagement and growth and people really starting to understand what it is what we were doing. And yeah, that was cut short. So my brother was also working for Landtech or Land Insight at the time. David and I have worked together 4 times, and he was working in a different sector of marketing to what I was. So your
brother's also in marketing.
He was within that role, but his role, I say marketing very loosely. He was basically he was working in a marketing development role, which essentially was analysing customer journey and supporting the customers through each stage of the journey. What resources have they got? How are they actually getting the information that they need from the product? That kind of thing. So he was looking at sort of systems and processes, where I was looking at more engagement, social media, growing the brand, that side of things. So we got made redundant, and David found quite quickly another role, and I had this sort of feeling eating away at me that my job wasn't done yet, and that was great as a community platform to upsell a PropTech product. But there's always been a theme throughout my property career that in property we're not very good at marketing ourselves. We don't lend ourselves very well to social media algorithms. And the reason is we want specific detail regarding numbers, how the deal stacks. We also want to know none of the fluff. We want to get straight to the point because our time is precious. So when you're kind of sharing that stuff on social media, the algorithms go, there's not much real content going on here. We're not really going to push that. So I thought about creating an independent property networking platform that everyone could just jump on. They could talk to each other. They could communicate directly with each other in the knowledge that when they're posting, it's just property people that are on that platform. I have to get that in there. They're in a safe environment, because there's a lot of developers, a lot of investors that I speak to, and they would like to do a bit more social media, but they're terrified because we all see the NIMBYs and the activists online that, especially with the landlord bashing that's going on at the moment, that they're literally, gunning for people. So if we created an independent social media platform where the industry could network, could talk about what's going on, we could actually create a viable alternative to LinkedIn. And that's been the mission ever since.
Very interesting and very ambitious, because obviously when you're saying an alternative to LinkedIn, people automatically might think, oh my God, that's quite a big task ahead of you. Yeah. But social media platforms have, since MySpace to Facebook, and then Instagram to Snapchat and all that sort of stuff have happened. But also those, and then TikTok obviously is the more recent one. They are more kind of widespread, a little bit more targeting everyone. Obviously, they've got their demographics within the social media space. But this is a niche one purely for property investors, developers, landlords, estate agents, architects, contractors, surveyors, the whole nine yards, the whole property industry. Yeah. And I mean, have you done have you asked ChatGPT or whatever else it might be, Perplexity, about how many property professionals are there in the UK? Do you have an idea of how many there might be?
Yeah, so according to the British Property Federation, back in 2023, there was 1.2 million people associated with real estate within their job roles. Brilliant. Particularly within the property development construction space, there's 500,000.
Alone, right?
Yeah.
So that's quite a big community already if you can capture the attention and it's relatively focused of all those people, which is impressive. And then if you can whittle it down to segmenting it to, okay, there's this many finance brokers, there's this many contractors, this many SME developers, this many solicitors. Do you have that data? Is that data easy to find?
Yeah, so it's not easy to find.
I'll be curious how many finance brokers there are out there.
So we broke it down into 3 core sectors. So there's 40% are property developers.
40%.
Yeah. So that could be anything from commercial conversions up to full-scale ground-up developments.
And there's like SMEs and like the whole 9 yards, SMEs up to national house builders.
Yeah. And then we've got 40% are the landlords, property investors, and then we have 20% are service providers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting mix. And so now, how long have you been doing it?
2 years. It'll be 2 years on Sunday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's Friday today, so you wake up Sunday, go and celebrate.
Yeah. Straight back to the laptop.
What's the... So how many people have you got on the platform so far?
We're over 2,700 at the minute.
Excellent. So you're making some... And it's always the snowball effect with this stuff, I imagine, is that you have to get one person on, and the second person, and then maybe 4 people, then 8 people, and hopefully it starts to grow and compound exponentially. And in the mix that you've got of those 2,700, do you find that the national demographic, the national mix, I should say, of like 40, and 20 is kind of fitting that, or is it somewhat different?
Yeah, we're doing some segmentation work on the data at the moment. So one of the things that we say to our members is, look, we're not a social media platform in the sense that we're harvesting your data. That's not what we're here to do. We can make our revenue in other ways. So initially when people came in, we didn't take that much information away from them. We've changed that slightly so people can actually give us a little bit more information on who they are and what they're looking to do. Yeah. In the long term, that we will be able to drive more content to them that is relevant, because obviously the property is quite a wide net. And we want to make sure it's as relevant as possible so that they're not doom scrolling. They're coming in and they're finding exactly what they want first time, every time. So the segmentation work is underway at the moment, and there'll be some interesting data that we'll hopefully release later on in the year regarding, sort of what people are looking to do, what kind of job roles they're in, all that sort of stuff.
And so, of all of the, so you mentioned LinkedIn. Is that the type of platform that you're trying to emulate in some, like, because obviously you've got the TikTok style, which is just like video after video after video, the Instagram grid. I've had a little whiz round it. Is LinkedIn largely the kind of inspiration of the look and feel in terms of messaging and private chats and all that and groups?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the inspiration. I wouldn't say we're trying to emulate it. So LinkedIn, for me, is not really a social media platform.
Interesting. Tell me about that.
It's a recruitment platform. It's a jobs board.
Oh, is it?
With social media functionality. Yeah.
Oh.
The majority of money that they make is through recruitment, which means that they will always be geared towards recruitment.
Because the recruiters are paying them for all of the extra information about these people so that they can be... You know what? I do hear that a lot, actually, that like recruiters are all on LinkedIn, basically.
Yeah. And
that's where all the professionals are.
Allegedly, last year, they changed the algorithm to support recruiters further.
Wow.
And this is only allegedly because we don't have confirmed cases, but it's a case of that from the LinkedIn champions and the people that are really sort of well known via LinkedIn. This was leaked from them that basically the algorithm changed so that if you weren't posting every single day, you weren't regarded as an active user, and therefore were less likely to be put in front of a recruiter if you wanted a job. Which meant that it alienated the majority of their audience. And if you've been on LinkedIn for the last 12, 18 months, you'll know that the algorithm is just not consistent. It doesn't make sense as to what's being pushed now and what isn't. It
doesn't. And even I've actually found that recently, and somebody else posted about it, it's like, why am I getting all the posts that were like posted 2-3 weeks ago? I don't know, have you noticed that?
Yeah. And I'd probably say because there isn't enough content on there at the moment.
That's crazy.
But the platform is consistently unpredictable with what people are going to get out of it. But if you look at the property space, property people only want to network with other property people. So they don't need graphic designers, website builders, or the rest of it. They'll find them when they're ready. They just want to talk to people that understand their pain points and that they can discuss planning challenges, or, a contractor didn't turn up on time. That's the kind of stuff that they want to put into that ecosystem and get the feedback back from that they won't necessarily get from LinkedIn. But I'd say with LinkedIn, if you look at the majority of people that are on there, they're employed. Whereas, the events we go to, it's weird, but you'd probably say 90% of the people are self-employed, own a limited company. So that recruitment element doesn't necessarily have the same resonance if you're a team, a husband and wife team of developers that you've got your power team, you've got your contractors, you might bring in a VA to support you, but you're not looking to recruit, a marketing team or a sales team. You've got your projects, you know what you're doing.
So when you're building these networks and you're building these communities, there are other like platforms that are like off the shelf, like Circle. Have you come across that one?
Yes.
Or School's another one that they talk about. Would it not be easier to build your community in there? Is that something that you've ever considered?
Yeah. So the team of developers that we use are similar to those platforms. So Circle is a great platform. I've had a look into it. School is on another brilliant platform. We basically built an MVP with a developer that specializes in community building. And we've white labeled it, and the platform is essentially very, very similar to those sorts of.
Because you own the. Is it with the intention that you wanted to own the intellectual property behind that?
Yeah. So we're currently underway at the moment of building version 2. So we needed to prove use case up to a certain point. And just for anyone at home, this is no different to sort of what Facebook or LinkedIn have done. Is that basically if they're going to bring in a new tool for the platform or they're going to do something new, they will literally outsource it, and then when they're confident it works, they'll acquire it. So we're sort of following a similar strategy to that, but essentially with the platform we've grown it to a certain point, and now we brought on Rich Devonport, who's our Chief Technology Officer.
Right.
He is literally building the platform from scratch. And the platform, when it launches next year, we'll swap the two platforms out. It will be a direct contender to LinkedIn.
So you've gone from estate agent to marketer, and now you're in technology.
Yeah.
I mean, the thread that stitches it all together, I guess, is the marketing, because all of these things never work unless you've got that marketing engine underneath to be able to go and get the eyeballs, to get the buy-in, and get the first use cases and the beta testers and all that sort of stuff. So now, and this is a very scalable business. I mean, people talking about PropTech and all this AI stuff as well. Yeah. It's just becoming more and more interesting. Is there any elements of AI that you think that you can introduce into the platform, or is it kind of like we just need to get this? Like, is it all step by step, or is there a bigger goal?
Yeah, 100%.
And like, how many people do you want using this? Ideally, is it like all 1 million, or realistically, because you can never capture 100%? Like, have you got some goals and targets and ambitions?
Yeah, so we are hoping to hit 6,000 members by the end of the year. So that's our zenith for where we want to get to. And in terms of sort of growth of the platform and building in extra features and tools and stuff, primarily we want to get the networking element right. That is first and foremost where our business is. But there is so much that we can do on top of that. And there are so many different bits of PropTech that are all over the industry that could be consolidated quite nicely into sort of making tools and facilities available just in the one space. So that is something that we will look at as a long-term vision. But what I would say is that with the AI element, although it would be a nice to have, it's not essential.
Yeah.
Because the kind of information that we're putting out into the world and the kind of stuff that people want to receive back, AI doesn't lend itself particularly well to. When you look at sort of word processing of ChatGPT and Gemini, it's just not there yet. Yeah. We did look at incorporating AI into the platform, a bit similar to how LinkedIn Premium works with generating posts and content.
Does it do that for you, yeah?
So...
God, that feels so contrived. It's like just click Premium LinkedIn and you can just get all your posts made for you. It's like, well, what was the point?
It doesn't necessarily make the post for you, but it will rewrite it for you on LinkedIn Premium, and it makes content suggestions based on what you've already put into the platform. But we did look at bringing that into...
it's like having a marketing manager, I guess, that you're talking, helps you with that sort of thing.
Yeah. And we looked at bringing that into UK Homes Network. The problem is with that is that because property is so fast-paced and the data points are moving continuously, that you would need a very advanced AI system to be able to pull that data to create relevant posts and information into a platform that potentially, if it's 1 month out of date, if you're talking about interest rates or something, it's going to make our users not look very good. And also, we put a massive emphasis on the human connection, which is part.
I think that's so valuable.
Yeah, we're not a competitor to traditional marketing. We're a follow-up to traditional marketing, which is part of the reason why we've launched our live events, because we do value the face-to-face connection.
Tell us, I was literally the next question I was going to ask you about the live events. So you're doing some live events. Meriox is going to be present at that live event, or one of them at the very least, because I really want to get involved and I really want to encourage you to do what you're doing, because I think that we need more people to champion the people that connect the people in the industry. I'm so passionate about property in general, and sometimes you just need the people like yourself to be the conduit to make good things happen, because you connect good developer with a good finance broker, with a good architect, and then you can go out and make some homes. And it's all about, like you said, on LinkedIn, you might not need a web developer, you might not, but typically within your actual niche of your industry, you could probably ask around and find somebody that's, that's good, and all those things come in. But within the industry, we do need some good connectors. And so now you're doing the live in-person events. Tell us what the plan is with that, how it's going, what's going to look like in 2026.
So I never wanted to do events because I'd basically done events in the past, and they'd either flopped or they'd not worked out particularly well.
And why do you think that is? What didn't you have in the mix that made that happen?
Because people don't understand how difficult events are. They think if they book a venue and they post a couple of times on social media, people will turn up. It doesn't work that way. It's a very difficult skill to have, and I seriously take my hat off to our mutual friend Brendan and people across the country.
Paul Stapleton does a great, absolutely unbelievable job.
They throw these incredible events and they look amazing on the day, but you don't know how much work goes into it in the background. And unless you're prepared to do that level of work, you are not going to get the outcome that you desire.
I mean, I totally agree with you. And another one that comes to mind, I told you I was yesterday at Barry Reyer's Canary Connections.
Yes. Yeah,
unbelievable. Yeah. The place was literally packed from 3 o'clock. I left by 6. I couldn't talk anymore. I thought, I've got to do these podcasts today. Yeah. I've got a series of them. I was like, I've got to protect my voice because I've literally just non-stop been going around, and the noise was incredible. How many people were buzzing around, talking to each other, connecting. Yeah. But it's not easy to make that happen. I know how hard those guys work. So you appreciate that, having tried it. Why you've done ones already, or where are you at with it?
Yeah. So the story is that we had members coming to us saying that you really should do live events, and then we brought in a non-exec, Shane Trainer.
Yes. Year. How's he getting on?
Yeah, so Shane's brilliant.
I love Shane.
He obviously has the Developers Network in Birmingham, and he runs a number of other different events, which are really, really successful. And the first bit of advice he said to us was, you guys need to run your own event. Like, you just have to do it. We sort of toyed with the idea, and he sent that voice note at 6 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock we were still voice noting each other, and he'd managed to convince me, and we were going through the ideas and what we could do. And that's where UK Homes Network Live was born. So I've done a lot of exhibitions. I've done the Ideal Home Show. I've done, what's the Home Build and Renovation Show. I've done Eco Build back in the day at the Excel.
When you say you've done them, you were an exhibitor?
An exhibitor,
right.
Yeah. And there are a lot of exhibitions in this industry, and rightly so, because it's a great place to network and do business.
Were they helpful for the business when you were exhibiting? Did you find custom and stuff? Yeah.
But it always surprises me the amount of businesses that turn up to exhibitions and have no strategy. So it's a lot of money to exhibit at certain exhibitions, and if you don't have a strategy of how you're going to work the room, or particularly if you've got 2 employees that are sat there, both on their phones, sat down, then that is a lot of money to chuck down the drain if you're not proactively inviting people onto your stand.
Yeah.
But there was a theme with all these exhibitions, is that they always are in quite corporate beige conference suites. And if you work for someone, then your only motivation to go to this event is the proviso that you might do a bit of business and it will make your boss happy. But what it means is you're sacrificing an entire day away from your desk to go up at 5 a.m. to travel across the country to go to this event and walk around in a room where, if you're doing more than 48 hours there, you will get sick because of the air conditioning. You always hear about bringing the Baroccas with you if you're going to do a 4-day exhibition. You'll get shin splints from the hard concrete floor. And that's a lot to sacrifice on the proviso you might do a bit of business. So we decided that the idea was that we needed to offer something different, and you hear that all the time, offer something different. But we wanted to create an exhibition that people actually wanted to attend. So what if when you arrived, you got a beer handed to you and some decent food?
Wow, unique selling points. We love it.
Yeah. And what if, rather than away from your day job, the event was set at night when you normally go networking anyway? And then what if it was actually in a really cool venue that you would like to visit that you wouldn't have had the chance to visit otherwise?
Absolutely. Experiential.
Yeah. And what if the venue had never done a property event there before? And then all these sort of like little things started stacking up. So we launched our first event in June last year at the Indian Brewery, which is basically right in the city centre of Birmingham. It was an old steel works during the Industrial Revolution, and then it was converted into a brewery last year.
Nice.
So you walk in, huge cathedral-like building, and it's even still got the cranes that would move the steel. Amazing venue. And we put exhibitors in there, and they do incredible food. Butter chicken pizza.
Oh my God.
Who would know that curry works on a pizza, but it actually does.
I'm starving. I haven't had any breakfast as well. I can eat one now.
Yeah, they're going to have to turn the mics down so they don't hear our stomachs rumbling. And then because they brew the beer in the location, it just hits completely different. And then we had a lady called Beth who had won a BBC One talent show, and she was basically singing during the night. We had like so many people coming up to us going, "This is the best event I've ever been to." And I was like, "You sure?" They were like, yeah. So that worked really, really well. We got about 150 people there. Then we did it again in Manchester. We took on a brand new venue that had been open only 6 months. And it was an old converted Victorian marketplace. Absolutely stunning building. We had even more exhibitors there, and we had 200 people there. And then this year we're doing 4 events. So I know you're joining us for the London one, which I'm so excited. And we've got Leeds, Manchester and Birmingham.
It's Leeds, Manchester, Birmingham, London. These are the 4. So you've captured the whole country. Yeah. So wherever you're close to, you can go to that one. Yeah. You can travel to all of them. Exciting times.
Yeah.
You've got some work to do to get all the... I mean, it's all about marketing at the end of the day. It's just getting in front of people, and hopefully this audience as well will make sure that all the links are below, so you can get signed up to the events. You can look into the platform itself. But I know that the property industry, one of the reasons why I like it so much, I started doing networking in around 2015, 2016, and I was at Brendan's event, Central London Property Network in London Bridge, on Wednesday. Yeah. He's got the National Development Summit, which is next Saturday. And there's a lot of familiar faces, a lot of people kind of go around, but then you're always meeting new people, and everyone's relatively supportive, I always find as well. There's kind of competition, obviously. You've got 2 architects, 2 solicitors, 2 finance brokers, 2 developers, but actually it's very, very friendly. It's very, very collaborative. It's very, very, very positive overall. And if you bring the kind of flavors and the angles that you're bringing, which is kind of a new venue and good food, and it just adds to the enjoyment of being part of what I think is one of the best industries in the country. This episode is sponsored by Merry Oaks Property Finance Brokerage. Merry Oaks is a finance brokerage for investors, developers, landlords, SMEs across the country, helping you with all of your finance needs. So whether it's bridging, development, commercial, buy-to-lets, HMOs, service accommodation, industrial, hotels, the whole 9 yards, whether it's for your portfolio, whether it's for your business, we can support you. Please contact us. We've got the link in the show notes, and we look forward to hearing from you. Now, back to the episode.
100%. Yeah, Brendan's a perfect example of that, because I went to his National Development Summit last year, blown away at how good it was, like how you can squeeze that much content into a day. And then we became friends after that, meeting up at various events. And obviously he's got the event that I'll be at next week. And he came up to our Indian brewery event.
Oh, he came to that, yeah.
And he was absolutely shouting about it from the rooftops. I don't think anyone in the Southeast would have heard about it if it hadn't been for Brendan. And now we're working together to help. I'm supporting him with the National Development Summit, and he's going to support us with our events this year. Yeah, great. And that's the thing, is that, you know, we should technically be competitors in terms of events, but we're actually just thrown ourselves into supporting each other and lifting each other up. And yeah, that's one thing I massively love about this industry.
Very good. Well, I wish you well with all of that, and I'm going to be part of it as well. We're going to be helping you along the way, and I know you do a lot of these webinars as well as part of being part of the network. So if people sign up to that, you, out of interest, out of all of the industries, when you are on for your own personal preferences, because you do a lot of these webinars and you kind of like support and put a spotlight on property professionals. Is there one in particular that you enjoy, you look forward to, like a particular sector? Is it estate agents? Is it architects? Is it developers? Is it finance brokers? Is it insurance brokers? Which one's the most exciting one?
I would say property developers are, they're all interesting breeds of people. They're all very, very different. The property developers are dead interesting because I find what their challenges are so variable. I mean, you'll always hear like planning is like a major issue, or getting trades on site is a regular issue that they face. But sort of the interesting dynamics of what actually happens on site is just amazing. But yeah,
I always think that without a property developer, pretty much nobody does anything.
Yeah.
Because without the developer, the finance and the broker is definitely not going to have a job. The solicitor is definitely not going to have a job. The architect's definitely not going to have a job.
Yeah.
The property developer is probably the most important person out of all of that. So I'm not surprised you said that. And that's why I love property developers myself.
Yeah.
So I've got a few quick fire questions.
Let's go for it.
Because I could talk to you. I've got a whole bunch of questions. I didn't even go through many of them. I will probably have to do this again sometime after the event. We'll do loads of like sharing videos with people so that they can build this network and build it into a great community, which I'm absolutely supportive of. But a few quick fire questions.
Yeah.
What was the first thing you thought about this morning?
Christ, this is early.
I thought you were going to say Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, then wow. Oh my God, it's too early.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
What time did you wake up?
5 a.m. this morning.
Fair play. And what did you have for breakfast?
I haven't.
Me too. You know what? That's like a common answer that's coming up. I just didn't realize how many people don't have breakfast. What is your favorite emoji?
Crying face, laughing emoji.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
If you could ask me one question, what would that be?
If you had to work with anyone on a particular project, so if you had a property developer come to you and said that they were going to do this, we need your help, Sam, what would it be?
I like the larger SME type projects. So I'm working on one right now, which is a £44 million GDV in West London. That's the sort of thing that I like to do. So the larger scale developments, anywhere, if it's in London, it's going to be around 40-50 units for that kind of GDV. And outside, it's going to be closer to 100 units. Those are the kind of things that I get more excited about. Development finance, basically.
Yeah. Because the reason I asked that question is because when I worked for a development finance broker, the case studies that used to hit the desk were fascinating. So like pillboxes, nuclear power plants. You guys get to see stuff.
Yeah, we do. Actually, George, interestingly, gets excited about all these weird ones. Like there was a pond that he once funded. I'm like, I don't really. And there's phone boxes or all weird and wonderful stuff. But personally, I like property development. So there's one in the West Country, which is a 15 million GDV that we're working on, trying to raise some equity. I like all the development stuff. It's very, very intricate. Yeah. There's lots of moving parts. Incredibly challenging. You've got to make sure that all values up. You've got to make sure so many things work out. But that's where I think going back to what I was saying about developers, I genuinely, I'm a property investor, developer, landlord myself. But I've always done my stuff, which is sub 1 million, and professionally, in the capacity of the finance broker, I've always done stuff that's over 1 million. So I just really like that. Once you start going to kind of 100 million, 200 million, it's a different ball game altogether again. So I'm not really in that space. But yeah, that's probably my sweet spot.
Amazing.
Good question. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
It was a quote from Jo Malone. You know, the lady that makes the candles? Yeah. Huge business, very successful woman. She said, never make a decision on a bad day.
Never make a decision on a bad day. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
actually.
So always take the time to
calm it all down.
Calm it down, go to sleep if you can, wake up the next day and then make the decision.
Makes sense. What's the worst bit of advice you've ever received?
I don't know. I've just had. I think everyone gets this in business. You get, why are you doing what you're doing? Oh, I don't think it'll ever work. I mean, it was really refreshing to hear you say that it's a fantastic business. It's going to scale. But we've had a lot of people say that it wouldn't scale and that we'd never get anyone using the platform. But we have.
I remember you came to me very, very early, and I think I was one of the first people that put something on there.
Yeah.
They're so busy. I'll be truth be told. I remember going away thinking, I have a lot of these conversations. There was another one, Guillaume, who did Property Filter.
Yes.
And he spoke to me very early on, and I didn't I didn't. It's not that. I'm going to say I didn't get it. I didn't. Or I think more. It's not exactly that. I just think, oh my God, the challenge here is so huge that it's like probability is massively against you.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of those conversations, and most of those people don't actually end up like coming back. You don't hear them again.
Yeah, of course.
They've tried this. There's one guy who was doing like a spare room, but for students, or this, that, and the other, or and then it kind of fizzles out because they just don't get the traction. But then there's always the exception to the rule, and you've certainly been one of those. And that's one of the reasons why I thought, actually I really like the way that you've kept up the momentum. You've been able to add so many users. It's impressive, and for that reason I'm all about supporting and seeing how I can help you further, because I wanted to do it at the time, and you had the bare bones of it, and you were really it was very, very early doors, but to see the traction that you've had, and now doing the live events as well, and how you're thinking about those things, I think is impressive.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. And yeah, all the support you've given us has been incredible. What I would say on that, though, is that I think the journey that I've been on in terms of how I articulate the business and how I communicate that to people, I've learned over the space. From when I first started, I didn't know my ass from my elbow, but now I can actually articulate what my business is. And I think the difference between me and maybe those other startup founders that you've met along the way, the longevity is not there. So they're not prepared to put themselves through hell.
The blood, sweat, tears.
Yeah, just make it to 2 years. And I think that's, if you can bide your time long enough, it's not who can race to the quickest amount of revenue, it's who can last the longest on the marathon. And that's what I'm trying to keep in the back of my head constantly.
Some very wise person once told me that it's in business, it's just about staying in the game for as long as possible. Yeah. The longer you stay in, the bigger the opportunities come by, and then you just grab that right one, and then you kind of off on to a absolute winner.
Yeah.
We're going to leave all the links everywhere for people to find you. If they wanted to reach out, what are the best platforms aside from the links that we're going to leave? Is it kind of like, are you on other social media platforms as well? Is there other websites?
Yeah, I'm active on all socials. They're a great marketing funnel for me, growing the membership in UK Homes Network. But yeah, UK Homes Network is completely free, and I message every single person that joins the platform. So if you want a direct response very quickly, then message me in UK Homes Network.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Chris. And I'll be seeing you out on the road.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.